Hey, what's up, Kevin? This is a quick demo video for you for your Emperor hilt by KR. Just got this done today, and I am working on your maul chassis or your chassis. I just need to get one nailed down and then it'll work for both sides. It's proven to be a little challenging, but I think I got it. I'm on version 3. But anyway, while that's printing, I already had a chassis printed for this guy, so I went ahead and I swapped over and started concentrating on this and just got this done. So this is installed with a Proffie V2. It's got a 2-button setup. You've got your red LED button switch here is going to be your activation, and your green one will be your auxiliary. The red and green are orientated correctly, so when you're looking down the saber like this and the blade's away from you, the red button's on your left side. Then you've got CC LEDs or CCSabers LED pixels in here, and a fully removable chassis. So to get to the chassis, what you want to do is the first thing you want to do is take this guy out. And while you're unscrewing that, kind of hold this gold piece with your pinky or something. I just kind of put my finger up here like this, right? Because if you're not and this comes out, this gold piece might fall out and you don't want to damage it. So what we'll just do is we'll come in here with an Allen key. We'll untwist it a few times. This comes right off. It is a little... It does take a little bit to get it back on because everything's a tight fit in here, but it goes on pretty easy, and I'll show you what I do there. So when that comes off, I'll move my finger and this guy just comes right off just like that, right? Now before we take this chassis out, these 2 buttons, they're just acrylic pieces. It's a red and a green acrylic piece, and they're just in there and they're held in there by the chassis. So before you take the chassis out, what you want to do is take your hilt and flip these switches upside down like that so they don't fall out on you. So now we got these switches on the bottom facing down. We'll just take our finger, come in here. Don't press on the pins, press on the side of the chassis, just like that. And then that whole chassis system comes right out, just like that. So I'm gonna take this and put it on the table for a second, and we'll go over your build. I learned a few things from the last one I did like this. So I was able to run most of my wires underneath the board except for your LED wires here. I didn't have room to put these resistors under the board, and I didn't want to cram everything up here. So what I did was I ran your power wires all the way over here, resisted them, and then brought them back. So these resistors sit nice and tidy in this little pocket that I've got in this chassis right here, but they will pop out if you ever want to pop your board up and get to your SD card or anything like that. But if not, you know, everything sits in there. You got your 2 switches. These switches actually came with the kit. So they have red and green LEDs on each of them, and then you wire them up accordingly. This is now the third Emperor that I've done. On the first one, I didn't realize that the green and red LEDs are labeled incorrectly on these PCBs, but I did account for that on yours, so everything's fine there. And then your CCSabers LED pixels are in there. You've got a 24mm Smuggler's Outpost bass speaker. It does say Emperor Palpatine right here in Arabic. It says Solo Sabers over here in Arabic, and then you have Smuggler's Outpost emblem right here on the chassis as well. So we're gonna throw a battery in this guy. Spring side is your negative always. So you got light, you got sound, that's a good thing. Now what you're gonna notice is I've got a little notch here in my chassis, right? And I'll show you what we do with that. So we're gonna take our hilt just like that. We're gonna keep our switches facing down so they don't fall out. Actually, that one's rolling around right there, you can see it. So when they do that, it takes a little bit to put them on your finger and put them back in. That's why it's best to try to just keep them in the hilt. It's not impossible by any means, it's just kind of a pain. There, I got it. And just put it in there and then put the chassis upside down and let gravity hold those pins in, right? So now we're gonna take our chassis and we're gonna face our pins down too. Try to line up your switches with your these switch PCBs with your switches as much as you can. When you first start going in, it just makes things easier. It's a little stiff right here, but if you push down on the battery, it does go right in. And then once you get over that initial side of the battery, everything slides in nice and neat. I'm gonna push this in. I'm gonna show you what that notch is for. So if you look in here, that notch kind of lines up with that screw hole, and that's where we put that greebly right here, right? So that notch in that chassis, if you can see it there, you can see it a little better. That notch right there, it's meant to line up with this little square piece here in the pommel. Right there, the tip of that guy. So when we're putting it in, you can line it up with that guy. It'll go in that notch. And then if it's in there correctly, it lines everything up and then it pushes in there nice. And if it's not in there nice, all you got to do is just come in here with your finger, push your chassis back out a little bit like that, put it out about that far. And then you can take this guy and it can assist you in pushing it in. We'll line that up right. Push it in just like that. I say it's that easy and then I do it on camera and I'm always jacking up. Okay, there we go. So if you don't have that notch lined up properly, then this piece right here won't go in, and that's your indication that your chassis is not clocked, right? But I made it to where it only fits one way, so you don't have to guess. So what we want to do first is we're going to go back in and we're going to put that greebly back in that we unscrewed at the very beginning. While you're screwing this in, you might find that you have to take your finger on this pommel piece right here and just kind of push against it real, not real tough, but just give it a little bit of a push, because everything is a tight fit in there. And then that screw's not going to want to catch unless those holes are perfectly aligned. Just like this. So now we got that on there, everything's locked in place. We got swing on, you can see your LEDs are working fine. Smooth swing, these are lighting up good. Green is your auxiliary, so we could tap it or hold it for blade lockup and then twist off. And if you don't want to use your motion control, you can just tap your activation button, which is your red, right? And we'll twist off. So I'm going to put a full length blade in here. I'm not going to get too crazy with this guy with a full length blade because this is a very small hilt. The weight will be all in the blade if you put a full length blade in this, but we're going to put a full length one in so that you can see it fire up and you know that everything's working properly. You do have a blade retention screw, which is right here, and I'm going to use that guy. So this takes a 1-inch blade. You back that set screw out. It's a tiny guy, so watch out when you're messing with this that you don't back it out too far and lose it. And actually this is a pretty tight fit, so I'm actually not going to tighten that set screw up for this demo, right? But you can see everything's working well. This is a full length 36-inch long blade. Tapping for blaster deflex. Holding it for blade lockup. Twist off. And then we can use our auxiliary button. We just tap it to change sound fonts. Activation. Got a little bit of a pre-on effect on this one and a little something extra right here, which I thought was pretty cool, right? Flash on flash working good. We'll go to the next one.
The might of the final order will soon be ready. Do not fear the feeble attack, my faithful. Nothing will stop the return of the
Well, everything's working really well in this guy. It's a solid little saber. Nothing's rattling around. I mean, everything's just cram-packed in there, but it's working really well. And then I did give you a responsive blade style. So when you're at home and you're twisting and you're swinging this guy, what you'll notice on these Emperor sound fonts is when you're twisting hard, the blade actually turns white, and then it'll go back to red when you're slowing it down. I just thought that was pretty cool. So now that we've gone over everything and you can see that it works, I'm going to take it apart real quick for you. That way you can just see how I do that as well, right? It's basically the same thing we did at the very beginning, but we'll just do it one more time. So we're going to take this greebly off. Couple turns, comes right off. Pops out like that. And then this piece is going to come right off, just like that. And remember about your switches, right? So before you take your chassis out, just pop your switches over to the bottom, and then you can come in here with your finger just like this and push it right out. And then everything slides right out just like that. And then this battery is a standard battery cradle, so you can come in here next to the speaker on the positive side and you can pop it right out with your finger. And then, of course, you know, when you're done with it, we'll just put everything right back in it. And this is actually how it will arrive to you. It's going to arrive to you all assembled so that during transit, nothing gets broken. But anyway, sir, that is your Saber. Hope it turned out the way you like. Let me know, and I'll get this out in the mail to you tomorrow. Thanks.